In the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the chapter called Dhyana Yoga, Sri Krishna teaches Arjuna how to meditate. Given the fact that Sri Krishna and Arjuna happen to be in a chariot that's standing in the middle of a battlefield, that might seem like an extremely unlikely time and place to learn about meditation. But the fact is, Arjuna desperately needs to learn this so that he can better cope with the huge challenges that he's about to face on the battlefield. This shows how the practice of meditation is not only meant for the sake of spiritual growth, but it's also meant to help you cope more gracefully with the challenges of day-to-day life. Actually, the meditation techniques that Sri Krishna teaches here are unique because they're intended to be practiced on a battlefield. Not just the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but also the battlefield you occupy every time you have to deal with difficult people and difficult situations. For this video, I have carefully selected 5 especially powerful verses that contain the essence of Sri Krishna's teachings on meditation. That essence can easily get diluted or watered down if I give a long lecture on each verse. So in this video, I'll try to explain these verses as briefly as possible. If you want to study them in more depth, please watch my classes on the Bhagavad Gita. I'll leave a link below. Okay, let's begin. Near the beginning of the 6th chapter, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, Uddharet atmanatmanam, natmanam avasarayet, atmaiva hyatmano bandhur, atmaiva rapuratmanaha. The word atma is most often used to indicate your true self, your eternal, divine inner nature. But here in this verse, atma simply means self, like when you refer to yourself, or when you say, myself. Sri Krishna says, uddharet, you should raise, you should lift up atmanam, yourself, atmana, by yourself, by your own efforts. That is, you should personally strive for spiritual and emotional growth. After all, it's up to you. No guru can make you enlightened. Your guru can give you the spiritual guidance that you need, but you have to make the necessary effort. Then Sri Krishna says, Na atmanam avasarayet. Don't allow yourself to sink down. Don't drift away from your path of spiritual growth. Don't descend into a lowly life in which you merely seek sensual pleasure. In other words, don't allow yourself to drown in the vast ocean of samsara, the ocean of worldly life, the ocean of suffering. In the second half of the verse, Sri Krishna explains why it's up to you to lift yourself up, why performing spiritual practices like meditation is your duty. He says, Atma eva hi, because you yourself, you alone, are Atmanaha Bandhu, your friend. You are your own best friend. As such, you can set aside some time each day for prayer and meditation, or you can choose not to. In the latter case, Atma eva, you alone are Atmanaha Ripuhu, you are your own worst enemy, a wicked person who drags you from your path of spiritual growth and throws you head first into the ocean of samsara. Wow, watch out. But there's another way to understand this part. In the Bhagavad Gita and in other scriptures, the word atma is sometimes used to indicate your mind. So if we take atma to mean mind, then the second half of this verse resembles a really common saying, that your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. How true this statement is. Consider this. In life, you have had and will have many companions. Companions like parents, siblings, spouse, children, and so on. All of these companions come and go, but there is one companion who will accompany you throughout your life. That companion is your own mind. And as your lifelong companion, your mind plays an incredibly important role in your life. So, like you take care of other companions, you have to take care of your mind. If you feed your other companions in life with unhealthy food, they'll get weak. In the same way, if you feed your mind with unhealthy content found on the internet and your television, then your mind will get weak. Your mind also needs proper rest and a bit of recreation now and then. Your lifelong companion deserves that care. According to Sri Krishna, caring for your mind in these ways is not enough. Your mind also needs regular meditation. So he tells Arjuna, Tatraikagram manah kritva yata chittendriya kriyaha upavishyasane yunjad yogamatma vishuddhaye. In the second half, yunjat yogam, you should practice yoga, Dhyana Yoga. That is, you should meditate. Why? For the sake of atma vishuddhi, for purity of mind. Here, the word atma definitely means mind. Atma, as your true divine inner nature, is eternally pure, so it doesn't need meditation. But your mind certainly does, because it has so many impurities. Impurities like anger, hurt, resentment, and sadness. The regular practice of meditation gradually removes these impurities by enabling you to handle your emotions better. If your mind is weak and agitated, then your emotions can easily take over. They can overpower you. But when your mind has been made strong and calm through the practice of meditation, you'll be able to handle those difficult emotions far more gracefully. In this verse, Sri Krishna gives some very specific instructions for how you should practice meditation. First of all, he says, upavishya asane. You should sit down comfortably. In the verse just before this one, Sri Krishna says that you should have a clean, properly prepared place for meditation. It's best if you can set aside a special place in your home that you only use for meditation, prayer, and scriptural study. The next step in the practice of meditation is chitta indriya kriyaha. The activities of your mind and senses must be yata, controlled, completely restrained. To restrain the activity of your senses You can simply close your eyes and sit in a quiet place. But to restrain the activities of your mind is not so easy. Your mind doesn't have an on-off switch, so you need to use a suitable meditation technique to restrain your mind. A technique like observing your breath or reciting a mantra. By concentrating your attention on your breath or on a mantra or on some other object of meditation, then your thoughts can be gradually restrained from wandering all over the place. And over a period of time, you can train your mind to remain completely fixed on your chosen object of meditation. Most of the time, your mind tends to be engaged in a process that psychologists call associative thinking, a process in which your mind wanders from one thought to the next. For example, if you hear a car pull up in your driveway, you might think, I wonder who that is. Then you might think, maybe someone has come to deliver the item I ordered online the day before yesterday. Then you might think, but that item was back-ordered. It won't be shipped for another week. You might end up thinking about whether or not you should have ordered that item in the first place. This is how associative thinking works. Each thought links to the next one. It's possible for your mind to get caught up in long chains of associative thinking throughout the day. In order to meditate, you have to break free from this kind of associative thinking. Many meditation techniques work by replacing a chain of associated thoughts with a chain of identical thoughts. That means, in meditation, instead of wandering from one thought to another, your mind remains fixed on a single thought, a thought in the form of your breath or a mantra that you repeat again and again. In this way, your mind becomes free from associative thinking. Eventually, you can develop the ability to fix or fully concentrate your attention on your breath or your mantra or whatever you have chosen to meditate on. Sri Krishna says, Tatra, there, on your chosen object of meditation, manaha kritva, you should make your mind eka agra, one-pointed, completely focused. A one-pointed mind is like a laser beam that's narrowly focused on a tiny point. Normally, your mind is like an ordinary light bulb that shines in all directions simultaneously. But if the light of an ordinary light bulb were concentrated into a laser beam, that beam would be powerful enough to burn right through solid wood. This example suggests the tremendous power your mind has when its energy is narrowly focused through the practice of meditation. Allow me to make a brief observation here. Our minds are capable of so much more when their powers are properly harnessed through the practice of meditation. So then, why were we not taught how to meditate in our youth, when we were in school? We were taught so many other subjects in school, so the failure to teach us how to meditate really stands out. Many schools are reluctant to teach meditation because of its association with various religions. But meditation can certainly be taught in a strictly secular manner. After all, there's nothing religious about concentrating your attention on your breath. And instead of reciting a sacred mantra, you can simply recite an ordinary word like one or hum, or peace. Okay, enough of my comments. Let's see the next verse. Yato yato nischalati manaschanchalamastiram tatas tato niyam yaitad atman yeva vasham nayet. Here, Sri Krishna gives some very practical advice for learning how to meditate, for learning how to restrain your mind from constantly wandering and train it to remain focused like a laser beam. Manaha, your manas, your mind, is usually chanchalam, wandering, meandering from thought to thought. And it's also astiram, unsteady, always changing. So, what should you do? Yato nischalati, from whatever thought your mind has wandered to, tatas tato niyamya etat. From that thought, you should bring your mind back. And atmani eva vasham nayet. You should make your mind remain fixed inside yourself. It's a bit like teaching a little child not to wander away. Every time a child wanders off, you gently bring her back. And you have to do this again and again so that eventually she will no longer wander away. Learning how to meditate works in the same way. Suppose, while you are sitting in meditation, you happen to hear a car pull up in your driveway, like in the example we used before. Your mind could easily wander off and get caught up in thoughts about the item you ordered. So, your main task in meditation is to notice when your mind wanders, and then to immediately bring your mind back to your meditation practice. My guru once defined meditation as bringing your mind back. Each time you bring your mind back, your practice becomes a bit stronger. Like each time you exercise a muscle, that muscle becomes a bit stronger. As long as you continue to bring your mind back, your practice of meditation will improve. But when you stop trying to bring your mind back, and you allow it to wander endlessly, then it's time to get up from your meditation cushion and do something else. Really speaking, meditation is a learned skill. Just like you learn how to drive a car or how to cook a meal, you can learn how to meditate. It just takes proper guidance and regular practice. In the next verse, Sri Krishna gives a wonderful metaphor to describe the practice of meditation after your skills have grown strong. Yata dipo nevatasto nengate sopamasmrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. Yata dipaha, just as the flame of a lamp, an oil lamp. Nevatastaha, a lamp in a place that's completely protected from the wind. Na ingate, does not waver. That flame doesn't flicker. It remains perfectly still. Have you ever seen a flame that's so steady that it looks like it was somehow painted right on the air? It's an amazing optical illusion. That perfectly motionless flame, sa upama smrita, is a good example to describe the state of meditation that's been reached yoginaha, by a yogi, by a meditator, yata chittasya, whose mind is controlled, whose mind is perfectly restrained, completely still. You can gradually develop the same mental stillness with proper guidance and enough practice. But there's something else hidden in this metaphor, something about the unflickering flame. A flame is made of millions of tiny glowing bits of superheated gas. That gas is actually in constant motion as it flows upwards and cools off. Because its motion is so steady and uniform, it looks perfectly stationary, motionless. Something similar happens in deep meditation. When your thoughts are completely uniform and they flow steadily without wavering, then it feels like your mind has become perfectly silent. You experience this as deep stillness. That stillness is a form of samadhi, meditative absorption. Earlier, we saw how you have to focus your attention on an object of meditation, like your breath or a mantra, to practice meditation as taught here by Sri Krishna. But nowhere does he say that you should use your breathing or a mantra as an object of meditation, even though these are two of the most commonly used practices. Instead, Sri Krishna prescribes a very special object that you should meditate on. That object is atma, your true self. In the last line, he says, Yunjataha yogam, you should practice meditation by concentrating your attention on atmanaha, on atma, your true self, on pure consciousness, the divinity within you. I should point out here that meditating on atma instead of on your breath or a mantra is way too difficult for most beginners. In this verse, Sri Krishna prescribes a practice for yogis whose minds are completely controlled. Such yogis are certainly advanced practitioners. This teaching shows that concentrating on your breath or on a mantra is meant to train your mind, to prepare your mind for more advanced kinds of meditation. In the last of our 5 essential verses, Sri Krishna shows why meditation on atma is actually the highest form of meditation. Yatro paramate chittam nirudham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pasyanatmani tushyati. Yatra uparamate chittam. When you restrain your mind, when you concentrate your attention, nirudham yoga sevaya, by making your mind profoundly silent through the practice of meditation, yatra cha atmanam pashyan, then you can personally realize or discover atma, your true self. Atma is your essential nature as pure consciousness, the consciousness that makes you aware of your thoughts and emotions. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna explains how that very consciousness is the divinity that dwells within you, an inner divinity that's unborn, uncreated, and eternal, an inner divinity that's vast, limitless, and utterly untouched by suffering. The consciousness that is your true self is present in your experience at this very moment. It enables you to be aware of the words I'm speaking right now. But even though consciousness is present in your experience, it's difficult to fully recognize its grandeur, its glory, its nature as being eternal, limitless, and transcendent. Meditation is meant to help you recognize all of this. Let me show you how with a really powerful metaphor. Suppose you look at the water in a shallow pond during a big storm. The storm's strong winds create waves on the surface of the pond, and those waves agitate the water, stirring up the muddy sediments that lie at the bottom of the pond, which makes the normally clear water look brown and opaque. In this metaphor, the pond represents your mind, and the strong winds represent your thoughts and emotions. Just as the strong winds agitate the pond and make its water look opaque, in a similar way, your thoughts and emotions agitate your mind, and that prevents you from clearly recognizing your true nature as pure consciousness. After the storm passes and the winds become perfectly still, then the water in the pond becomes crystal clear. In a similar way, when your practice of meditation makes your mind perfectly still and completely free from any kind of agitation, then you can clearly recognize your true nature as pure consciousness. How do you make that recognition? Sri Krishna says, atmana, by yourself. The only person who can discover or recognize your true nature is you. No one can do it for you. And after you make that recognition, then atmani tushyati. Then you remain fulfilled, perfectly content with your own true self, with your divine inner nature, atma. This discovery is what we commonly call enlightenment. In the next video of this series, we will discuss the 5 essential verses from the Bhagavad Gita on the topic of enlightenment.